Hello, Gemini. I hope everyone is having a wonderful morning. I'm so excited to be here reading you your May 2020 forecast. I'd like to start off by saying welcome. If it's your first time, this is going to be a really great reading because I have so many cards here that there's hardly room on the table. So a lot of channeled messages are coming through. And if this is a return sort of visit for you, welcome back. It's also going to be great. And it's great because you guys continue to show up. So thank you so much. My name is Nicholas Ashbaugh. As I said, I'll be looking at the sign of Gemini. And you can use this for sun, rising, moon. You can also use it for other parts of your chart if you happen to be well-versed in astrology. And the beginning part works in such a way that you can actually show up to any of the 14 that I'm doing this month, and you'll receive messages because I work with my guides and your guides at the beginning to bring forth messages. So it's channeled messages for everyone in the room. And then I get a little bit more granular with the Celtic Cross. But even then, you can stop by any of my readings and you're likely to receive some guidance. So I'm going to put down Apollo here and we're going to talk a little bit about the format for today and always, although I'm constantly sort of improving and evolving it a bit. So there are basically four major parts to the way that I set this up. The beginning portion is all of the channel messages that are right in front of us here. And I get this through a combination of meditation, dream interpretation, and also automatic writing. Just the act of sitting here and writing brings forth messages. So we'll begin with that. And then we'll go after this into the Celtic Cross, where we'll look at in a little bit more detail those opportunities, those challenges, all the little twists and turns in the road. And I try to just let that part take whatever form it needs to. So rather than solely looking at it from the aspect of love can be a part of it, but it doesn't necessarily have to be it. I look at career, I look at personal development, I look at things going on around you. So the center portion will be whatever needs to come forth. Then I hit on some major areas in the expanded forecast, including health, wealth, love, and destiny. And this should give us a pretty clear picture of what's available for the month of May. I read a month ahead, but the beginning messages may resonate right here now. So it's basically a 4 to 6 week forecast, even up to 8 weeks, depending on how proactive you are or kind of how busy you are. So it's a 1 to 2 month forecast. After that, we will do a quick review. So if you ever join late, don't worry. I always do a mini review at the middle, where oftentimes I get additional information. And then we'll go deeper into some of the key opportunities or even the challenges that are coming forth for this reading in this month for you. And then we'll meditate, try to work on healing or integrating something that we talked about. And at the very end, I pull an extra card. This is something new that I've added with the May readings. So if there's a question that you really kind of need some assistance with and I don't get a chance to deal with it in the general, hold it, write it down mentally, and then afterwards, I will pull a card. You don't have to say anything. It's kind of like how often you'll see pick a card, but I'm just going to do one and I'll interpret it as a yes, no, and then I'll also give additional insights into it. Okay. So with that being said, just a couple notes and we'll get started. First of all, if you would like to show some support, honestly, the easiest thing to do is to like and subscribe. Very, very easy, and it helps with other folks discovering it. So hit the thumbs up, hit subscribe. When this goes on replay, if you could just put a comment. A nice comment would be great, but whatever. Just some feedback, a comment that really helps more than you would imagine. So I just want to say thank you. Also, if you're watching live, you have the option of saying hello and sending some love using this icon. It's a little $ next to the smiley face. And from there, you can either join the channel or you can send a very small contribution if you'd like to, like 99 cents. It helps a lot, helps me continue to buy all of the supplies here. And on replay, there's an applaud option as well. It's right by the like and the share buttons. So with that being said, special thanks to Maria, who is moderating today. And now we're going to get started, okay? So I always like to begin with a nature totem. And this one was in my head as I went to sleep last night. And I kept thinking to spirit, I was like, is that really what I'm going to be talking about tomorrow? And it said yes, and it wouldn't give me another totem. So your totem today is the often misunderstood, but I actually think rather cute bat. And I'm going to show you one of the bats that actually helps with pollination. Too often, these lovely little creatures get blamed for spreading diseases and things like that, but they are also beneficial members of the ecosystem. They help with pollination or pollinating rather cacti and fruit trees and things like that. They also help with insect population control. So that's beneficial pieces to this sort of animal that I hadn't thought of. Plus, there's a lot of cool things with bats that differentiate them from other mammals, other animals. Let me see if there's any other images that I want to pull up. Yeah, I was trying to find ones that were not frightening, and they're actually kind of cute if you look at them. They're not the most cuddly creatures, but they have their own charms, and we'll talk more about why they came through today. Okay, so let's talk about the magical bat and why its spirit was insistent. I kept asking him, like, can we have another totem? And no. And I'm glad that I stuck with what it gave me. So here we go. It's the bat today. One of the coolest things is I feel like they're super psychic. Bats use sound frequencies to navigate. It's ultrasound, equivalent to ultrasound, or like sonar, out in the water, kind of like some aquatic creatures use. So I think that's really cool that they're going beyond what's visible and they're tuning in, they're using frequencies to see, not unlike what a lot of intuitives do. We tune into energy frequencies and we see things that others don't. So in that moment, I was like, you know what, bats, I like you. This is a very cool thing. And if we go a little bit deeper, first of all, the fact that it is ultrasound, some of you may be going through a health challenge, and this is something you want to look into. It could also indicate pregnancy. I don't see anything bad associated with it. It's just really about making sure that you go a layer deep and see what's going on here. So that's what we're going to talk about. First and foremost, listening is the biggest thing that this totem wants us to do. It's essential. And if you give space between like when you finish or ask a question and what you would normally allow someone to kind of answer, and give them a little bit more even, you'd be surprised what will happen when they have more time or they have more space or you're not filling up the gaps. Let there be some awkward silences. Let them feel comfortable in sharing a little bit more, because then revelations start to happen. They could reveal, they could show things that they need to, they could share things that they wouldn't otherwise. This is especially true for someone that may need help, whether it's family member, a child that you're looking after, someone that you need to sort of gain trust and allow them to feel comfortable. So listening is probably the most important piece of communication. It is not passive. There's active listening, actually, where you will listen and then you can repeat after them and say, I think I heard this. Is that what you intended? Or do you want to talk a little bit more about that? I'm really intrigued. I'd like to hear more. Invite more input. I feel like if you do that, if you play the role of journalist or investigator and then pause and really give them space to talk, some cool things could happen. This is really great also if you have any older family members that don't get a chance to kind of like connect. They love to tell stories, and you can get some pieces of your family history that you might be missing otherwise, this nice little tapestry. So anyway, that's a really important piece that I wanted to hit on there. Like ultrasound, looking beneath the surface is going to be so important. There could be a detail or a snag, particularly when we're looking at contracts. So if before you sign anything this month, before you even verbally agree or do like a handshake, I think it's important for you to ask questions that you might have or get a second set of eyes to look at it. Again, going into those lower levels where you, especially, I have a lawyer that will look through things because the way legal text is written, it isn't for the layperson. They've actually lawyers have written it so other lawyers have to look at it. So rather than getting yourself in some sort of agreement that you don't understand, ask the questions. Bats, again, their eyes are gigantic, their ears are gigantic. The ears are really what are important here. So I was tuning into the intuitive skills that you might be starting to develop. So there's a bunch of it would be like clairaudience, clairsentience, clairaudience. There's a bunch of them, it doesn't matter. But the two that I picked here were clairaudience, which is clear hearing, and claircognizance, which is knowing something without having heard, seen, read, or learned it. There could just be a word, an understanding. All of a sudden it's in your brain. Because of the way the sort of frequencies are working, these two popped out to me as things that you might be able to develop a little bit more this month. Also, when I woke up this morning, I heard numbers in my ear. We're going to talk about how that's going to be important for a sale of a house or negotiation, because the numbers were overprinting what I was saying. So you'll be receiving something that may be contrary to what someone said. It could be information that is true, that is sort of like the deeper level stuff. So listen to your guides and listen to, clairaudience doesn't have to be in your ear, it can be in your head. And the way that it can pop up is sometimes it could just be a song that's in your head. You could hear a voice. You could also just see a word or hear something echo in your head too, or a sound like music. Musicians are amazingly clairaudient. What do you think is happening when you wake up in the morning and you have a melody in your head and you have to, like, take your recorder out and like either sing it or write that down, write the musical notes? You're tapping into something in the frequency out there. So musicians are psychic. Writers are psychic. Doctors are psychic because they take their book knowledge, they look at someone and they intuitively put it all together. We're all intuitive at the end of the day. But this month in particular, the thoughts, the voice, the knowing, these things are going to be a little bit stronger, and they may conflict or even make you want to go deeper into understanding something because it's like, that's not what I thought, or that's not what they said, but I feel like this is right. So follow up on that, okay? Develop it, if you will. Listen to your inner voice, tune out the external noise. So one of the things that's going to be very important for you is to have some quiet space, some quiet time to be able to hear, to be able to understand it. This is why for me, I work a lot. So a lot of my other work has to happen in dream space. If I had additional time to meditate, I could probably pull it out. I did this morning. I actually had 2 hours this morning as I was getting all of this stuff. So just so you know, I prepped for a couple hours before I show up. Today it was 2 exactly. So I could get all of the messages, do the research on the bat, do all of this stuff. So you have to set aside time to receive. It's not like you just speed race through all this writing and you're done. No, it takes time. So set some time to develop stuff. All right. The external noise could be you, if you're taking care of your family. It could be your work schedule. There's things that are kind of somehow either nullifying or drowning out the ability to tune in. So set aside time. It's going to be really, really important. Okay. When I was going to sleep last night, we had a minor earthquake here in Los Angeles. I'm fine. I didn't even feel it in my particular neighborhood, but I could feel the unrest of the planet a little. I know it sounds crazy, but I couldn't sleep. For most, I could get like 2-hour blocks, and I was getting up a lot. But one of the things that I was feeling was this sense of some of you, because I always set the intention before I read. I'm like, help me tune into Gemini tonight. And I always ask for protection and for the highest messages to come through. And I have sort of rituals and ways that I do that with like visioning things and also kind of stating it out and out. So I want you to set proper protection, boundaries in other words, and parameters when you tune in. You don't want to just tune in. So I don't know a single psychic that doesn't ground, protect, or have some sort of a ritual associated with how they tune in. So before you go to sleep, that's actually the most natural time for many of us to tune in and develop psychically. You should, actually, I've done some videos, so you can check my YouTube main channel, and even on my website, I might have it under this intuitive development series. But you should do an evening ritual. You can do a morning ritual too. But in the evening, you just, at the very least, want to imagine that you kind of sweep the room with light. You want to actually have an uncluttered sleeping environment. You want to call in protection from angel, deity, or ascended master with whom you feel an affinity, and set an intention for what you hope to accomplish. Do you just want to sleep uninterrupted? You can ask for that. Do you want to have a chance to just receive guidance? You can do that. You can also specify that it should be archangelic or higher. It should be a direct connection with the divine energy if you want to, or your higher self as a filter. So please do any and all of the above. Ask for what you need before you go to sleep. Otherwise, it's like tumbleweed, and anything could happen. There was a chapter that I took out of my book because it was too long at that point. But there was this point where Gabriel was understanding his abilities, and he didn't set the parameters. And so, yeah, he had some weird experiences. And it's important to talk about stuff like that because usually we're either I would really advise against drinking before you go to bed. So if you are going to have any alcohol, it should be in the morning, or not the morning. It should be like a 5 p.m. or something. you need time to burn it off, because if you drink too late, that's going to, first of all, it's going to affect your sleeping. And secondly, it takes down the layers of protection. So try not to drink late at night if you can help it. And try to really clear the room out too. So I wouldn't put on the television and watch the news or anything like that. You should have about 20 minutes, 30 minutes before you go to bed to just sort of clear your head. And that'll help you a lot. And then you're gonna have better dreams. And then you're gonna start to have some psychic dreams and some cool stuff will happen, okay? So I see something about wind chimes here or whatever. Yeah, actually sound therapy is really great. You can listen to, we'll be using this later today. You can use like a singing bowl and stuff like that to also clear the air, okay? So ground, I would say anytime, not just sleeping, but meditating, you wanna focus on grounding, protecting, and setting your intention. It's so important. All right, let's move on to some other symbols. There's a lot that came through with the bat. In one of the decks that I own, I think it's Wild Unknown. It's a very cool deck, which it's basically sketched out, black and white with like hints of color. But I believe the Hanged Man is the bat on that particular deck. And it's because bats, I had to look up what it's called. I guess it's called roosting, when they kind of hang upside down. And that's how they sleep, that's how they rest, that's how they congregate. To me, it's symbolic of the Hanged Man. Even if it wasn't in that particular deck, it's literally an animal hanging upside down. What's cool about the bat, though, is that it's not stuck there. It's choosing to be there, which is very close to the original symbology, which is Odin. And I'm going to talk about that in just a second. But before I get into that, I want you to think, it's kind of like your homework this month. What parts of your life do you feel stuck in? Where do you feel that you need to move the needle forward a little bit? Progress is possible because bats can literally fly. I think they're one of the few, maybe the only mammals right now that can fly. So you have this ability to take flight, but it's almost like, what are you waiting for? What's the hesitation? I feel like judgment is a piece of this, which is a decision that you know that you need to make, but you might have a hard time understanding or accepting. So once you accept it, things will happen. The Hanged Man represents contemplation, investment of time, and energy, and acquisition of knowledge. And it's the trade-off, time equals knowledge. This is what happens when you go to school, right? As a kid, kind of involuntarily, you have to spend, more than 12, I guess it's 12 years at least, basically going through all the different grades. So that's an exchange of your life energy so that you have basic building blocks to be a productive person in society. We then, as we become an adult, decide on other things that we want to experience, and we give our time and energy to it. So how are you spending your time and energy? This is also very Six of Pentacles. Are you investing wisely? Should you take some of that and put it over here? Should you say no to this? It's really about looking at your organization of time and energy, making sure that it's worth it. Of course, with resources, you receive money too, but is the money worth it? Are you getting overpaid, underpaid? What's going on? So this is really, with the Hanged Man image coming in, there's something here where I feel like there could be a little bit more movement. And that's what you can look at this month. And that's what I was talking about here. What's the trade-off? And this can be work, love, school, and just even doing nothing is also a decision. So what are you getting back from any or all of these things? How is it feeding you? How is it helping you grow? Are you just hanging out? And sometimes we do this from time to time, because I really feel like, listen, I woke up this morning and the earth was shaking for your sign. So it's time for things to move and take flight. Plus the bat came through way before the earthquake did. So I feel like there's a lot of movement for you, Gemini, nothing to be afraid of. It was a minor earthquake. It's just a little shift, a little energetic shift, right? Okay. As I said, bats are often misunderstood. I want to pull up that picture again just so that we can have a different image of what a bat might be like. They're not all vampire bats. Like I said, some of them eat fruit, some of them eat insects. And I think the one that I picked up here was it's a cactus that it's sort of pollinating here, which is cool. So it's important to not mischaracterize or misunderstand things. And because this animal is actually beneficial but misunderstood, there's a reminder here to try to keep an open mind and rely on facts, not hearsay. Do a little research like I did to figure out. My main message from the guides is focus on the beneficial aspects of the bat, which is what I've been doing today. So Those beneficial elements are pollination and seed dispersal, which for me is fertility and abundance. And it's also a really great symbol for being able to, it's kind of like the Wheel of Fortune, or you could see it as like 10 of Wands or the six of Swords. There's movement associated with this because of the dispersal. So if there's something you want to kind of like catch on, even 8 of Wands would be another thing that's coming through. This is a good time to do it. We're seeing a movement happen on the planet right now as vaccinations are becoming a thing, as things are starting to open up, as we understand more and more what we can and can't do. But this year, you definitely see a shift energetically. So no matter where you fit on that, we don't talk about all of that stuff here. It's more about the energy around it. This is a chance to get excited about, all right, I can actually get in the energy of change and movement right now. Okay, so embrace that. And I feel like you can start to get unstuck. Basically, these last few cards have been about that. Because much like the moth, which I was looking at yesterday, the inchworm, which becomes the moth, there's a nocturnal energy with the bat. I want you to kind of pay attention to sleep regularity. Are you afraid to go to sleep? Are you stressed out when you're trying to go to sleep? Are you waking up a lot? How are you balancing your sleep and wake routine? You may find that suddenly you're just getting more productive in the early morning or early evening. What I decided to do this morning was just get up. I thought, I got a lot to do. Let's just get up. I'm up already. And I feel fine. And so sometimes if your body's starting to get into a different rhythm, honor it. So maybe you're going to get up early and go to bed a little bit earlier, which is what I did last night and this morning. So listen to your body first and foremost. Thank you. And by the way, welcome. I see we have some new channel members here today, so welcome. All right, let's look now at the next piece. And this came from Dreams and Meditations. The first was from meditation. As I was starting to do the automatic writing, I saw a cornucopia, a horn of plenty, basically. I associate it with harvest, and I also associate it with the judgment card because it's about death and rebirth. And so if we focus on the element of, for me, the cornucopia could be cashing in, cashing out, or liquidating something. And in my dreams last night, there was a house negotiation that was happening, which has nothing to do with me because I'm not looking for buying a house right now. So this is someone out there, and it's also just sort of like, I think the ability to get a resource that you might not know about, because to me it was something that you didn't expect. So it could be something that's gifted to you, inherited, or you might find a deal. It just felt like it was something under the surface, and oh, look at this, and you could do something with it. So some of you might be looking at property for the first time in a while, and if that's the case, good. We have some notes on that in just a second. Harvest can also be a decision to take something that you've been working on for a while and share it. So if you're an artist and you've been working on maybe an album, you're going to release it to Spotify and iTunes. If you are a researcher and you've done all of your work, you're maybe going to submit it for publication in a journal. And some of you might be ready to graduate or something like that, or get a certification. But it feels like a cashing in, a finishing up, somehow getting something back from what you invested, which I liked. But there's just the decision associated with it, judgment. So are you ready? Are you committed to it? And if you are, good. I want you to be very clear on where you stand, especially in how much something is worth. And this can mean you and your time. If it's a job negotiation, if it's a house or property, then this is where I felt like it was almost like it was at an auction, because I was trying to count in my head and then I heard other numbers clairaudiently coming in and I was getting confused. And so the confusion here was on the price. What is it worth? I think that you need to stick to facts. If you're going to ask for a raise, you need to go back and qualify and quantify how this is going to, like, I've been doing this, this, and this since the pandemic, and I've been stepping up in these areas, and this is really a job description of this, and I've been here this many years, and this is time, and 5 other people have been promoted instead of me. So like, back it up with a lot of information so that your boss has to kind of say, yes, you're right. Okay. And if it's a house, really go through all of the different benefits of, like, well, we renovated this. This is a good neighborhood. It's close to a school, all of that jazz. And this works with anything. I just use sort of like a job and a house because these are things that you can understand. But it feels like on some level, it's almost like you're fighting for equal footing, right? Equal recognition. So in a relationship, it could just be that you've been doing more than you've been doing the lion's share, right? And it's sort of like Are you going to show up and do the same? Are we in this together, or am I just kind of pulling the chariot here and you're in the background there? So it feels like that could also be part of it too, fighting for equality. But you need to kind of keep a clear voice. You have to have some facts, and you have to be ready to do it. All of those things need to kind of fall together for it to happen. But yes, I heard numbers going back and forth in my head, and I actually woke up because it was bothering me. It was too many numbers. So I would say I would be better to pick something that's realistic. Don't shoot too high. Never lowball yourself. So I think you should come in just a little bit above, because if you ask for more than you think you get, you can get that. But if you ask for way more, if you're ridiculous, it's a flat no. And then you're going to have this auctioneering thing that's going on. Okay. Better to kind of have like best and final. I think that's really what I was feeling with this. Okay. And then magically this morning, the earth moved. We had an earthquake, a very minor one here. I'm safe. Nothing happened. Certain parts of the state, you have a little bit of shaking, but this was very minor. So this tells me that this is a chance to like reconfigure the situation. Basically just talking about the earthquake and then reconfiguring. This could be as gentle as just deciding to move things around a little bit, like the Six of Pentacles. I didn't write it, but it could also be like the Tower reverse, where you're making a decision that it's time to upend, like maybe move. This is more what I was getting. So I put the World here, but this is maybe like the Tower and the World pulled together. So I see change for a positive effect, which is good. And this could be living situation. I put tectonic shifts here, but this could be a shift in power at work. It could be a shift in power in the relationship. It could be a decision for you to do something for yourself, to see yourself in a different light, but it's changing the foundation, firming it up a bit, if you will. So Tower, then World. So change for the better, change for expansion. So ultimately, I think that's really important. Okay. So if you're okay and open with change in your life, I feel like some of that can happen this month. So quick note here, by the way, I didn't say it earlier, but I don't do question and answer in the comments here. I'll be in a channeled state throughout this reading, and you can save your question until the very end and then just ask it psychically for that final card. So unlike some readers, I don't do, because it takes me out when I read the comments. So just a quick note, I didn't mention that earlier. Okay, I'm gonna stack up all of these note cards, and then we're gonna go much deeper here into everything that the next month or so has to offer. Although I'm reading for May, these messages, especially the channeled messages, may actually resonate right here and right now. And as we look at deep past and recent past, it would resonate in April if you're watching it live. And you can definitely watch the April plus this to get a full picture of everything that's going on, because they're all available on my channel right now. I'm also going to be doing 2 collective readings this month. And let me look at my schedule here real quick, and I'll give you the times. If you haven't joined one of my collectives before, you should. They're a lot of fun. All signs are welcome. I have a bonus one where I'm going to decide what it is. And specifically, I have a collective one here. So as you can see, the bonus one is going to be on the 15th. That'll be a Thursday. And then the collective one will be on April 25th, which is a Sunday. Everybody's welcome. And you should check out the one that I just did for this month. It's still relevant. So it's a good chance to tap into energy. Sometimes I do it if it falls on the new or full moon, it's perfect. Otherwise, I'll look at seasonal things or whatever comes through with my guides and messages as well. Okay. All right, let's get into the cards. So let's see what's coming through for you, Gemini. As I said earlier, you can use this for sun, rising, moon, also Venus, any aspect of your astrological chart. And also, if you just need a message someday, just show up, because I read whoever's in the room or whoever's going to watch. So it's a combination of the sign plus those who are present. So you can show up for all 14 if you'd like to. It's a party where everyone's welcome. But specifically right now, I'm going to try to tune into Gemini, and we'll see what's coming through. Seeing a lot of connections between the channel messages, which makes me happy. It feels like we're definitely we're opening up to some really cool opportunities here, especially what I'm seeing here and here. It's all about movement, which is great. Yeah, okay. Let's take a look at all of the messages, starting with the channeled message. Not the channel message, but the catalyst. We just did the channel messages. So what a gorgeous card here. So interestingly enough, yesterday, yeah, we did. We had Shiva that came through. And Shiva is the destroyer. So this is an image from the Taurus reading. And this was in the, I believe it was in the destiny position, which is trajectory and basically speaking. So we have Shiva coming through a little bit differently here. We have to me, it looks almost like an owl eye at the center. And this beautiful sort of, to me, it feels like it could be a supernova. We also see sort of twin stars there, which is beautiful. So this was a message yesterday. I was using a new deck. Let me see if I can get the card handy while we're talking. It was the Six of Wands, but it looked like the Six of Swords. And what I was talking about yesterday is that sometimes for growth to happen in our life, we need to step away from something. And Shiva, although sometimes it can be like a scary a sort of deity, it's actually quite good because it's coming in to make us face our fears or our demons, and it gets rid of them for us. Here it is. I found the card. So we're going to revisit this message from Taurus because there's a little bit of overlap and your signs are next to each other, so it makes sense. So here was the Six of Wands, which looks like the Six of Swords if you're used to it. And what we see here is through letting go, you see like a new day dawning. Something positive happens because of that, right? So I really, really like this. And today we're starting to see that for you, there's a more active role because the Six of Swords, even though that's Six of Wands, Six of Swords is a little passive for my liking, but Shiva is not. So Shiva's not done yet with the signs this month. It came back in a different form here. And it's trying to tell you to honor your wisdom. That's why we have the wise owl there in the background. You're going to be going to your source or soul center to get the information. And just like a supernova, all of that energy that gets kind of put back into the nebula can eventually become the seed or the sort of like the growth for a new star. So I feel like, much like Taurus, there's something leaving and something starting, but for you, you're much more involved with what you're going to let go of, and it feels like you're much more ready to do it because we have justice here in the near future. And the interesting thing, and it's really appropriate that we talked about the Six of Wands, is you got the Six of Wands at the center. So I wanted to show the element of letting go and moving on, so you can also see the success one. This is what Six of Wands normally looks like. This is actually a reinterpretation too, because it's normally a knight riding into a public forum with a bunch of people looking at him and applauding him or looking up to him. I like that we have a woman here too. So basically, what you should be focusing on for success with the Six of Wands at the center is following your voice. And we look here and it looks to me like she has like a falcon. And so roughly, these are obviously different decks, but there's some similarity here. We have the bird here, the falcon, and this could be a falcon. It could be an owl. Looks more like an owl to me, but same sort of thing. Listening to your guides, listening to your higher self. I associate both of these with like Athena, which is knowledge. And also because we're looking at intuitive stuff, I think it's higher knowledge. So this month, focus on what feels right, what seems not right, not playing to the crowd. You're not like an actor on stage. You are instead a messenger like Gabriel delivering something that needs to come out for the world or for your own growth or development. If you follow your path, you'll find success. And that's what the Six of Wands is saying. In order to do that, you may have to leave a job, a relationship, an apartment, a way of thinking. Something has to go. You have to destroy before you can rebuild. And that's why we had an earthquake this morning before your sign. And that's why I was talking about foundational shifts that needed to happen for you. And what is it all about? Expansion and rebuilding. We've got it all here showing up for you. So I'm super excited here. But what does it feel like sometimes? Chaotic. So what you need to do is try to keep everything in order this month because it's all about growth. It's all about growth. So I'm really excited about how this is going to factor together for you. So let's dig into the cards here. Like I said, it feels like success is the name of the game. It's at the heart of the spread this month for you. So make sure that the success is fulfilling. Otherwise it's empty. So are you like in a really good job, but you feel like you don't have enough of a life or enough time to spend with your family or with your dog or whatever you want to do? Are you trying to make other people in your life happy by doing sort of vicariously allowing them to live through you, but that's not really your life? So this is really saying, live your best life, follow your highest guidance, and do what feels right. Success will follow. Hello, this is the bat energy again, even though we've got birds on this one. Listen, the page is listening. And it's a page of wands, which is already a little less vocal than like page of swords would be probably delivering or talking. But the page of wands is listening and getting ideas. I always see wands as much more associated with brainstorming and ideation. So you may get a great idea by listening to feedback from friends, feedback from customers, client feedback from your boss, whoever. It feels like you just have to sort of take it with a grain of salt, figure out where it's coming from, like source it, as I said earlier, get more than one point of view as well, and avoid gossip. Because the three birds remind me in one deck, I think it's also Wild Unknown, it's like the Three of Cups is very much like that. So stick to facts. It's good to kind of get your pulse on what's going on in the world, but also back everything up this month. I think it's so important. Page of Wands, some good news might be coming your way. By the way, this is literally success, and this is news, and this is good news. So it feels like be on the outlook for good news. And I put a little post on my Instagram. If you don't follow me on Instagram, you should. What I talked about was, I'll put a link out for this too, but Apollo was sitting there, he was looking at his shadow, and I talked about the importance of being able to understand that like wherever there's a shadow, there must be light as well. And so it's about understanding that you are the source. And for me, when I'm looking at this page, what I see here is that you are the source of inspiration. You are the source of making things happen. And when you're no longer afraid and looking at things around you and you're worried that, is that happening to me? Is it reflected on me? No, this is actually, it's all because you're calling it in with thoughts, with feelings, etc. So focus on what kind of a shadow you're casting in the world, listen to what's going on, and then start to take some action, okay? We have the High Priestess in reverse in the deep past, and she's telling you these downloads are coming. Downloads are just intuitive messages. Are you listening? Are you taking note? I literally wrote that yesterday on how you could basically be better with dream interpretation. You have to wake up like I did and write it or record it or somehow share the information so that you have it later. Also, if you walk into a situation, a job, a date, an apartment or a house that you're thinking of investing in, then and you're looking at this and thinking it doesn't feel right, it's probably not right. Get some more information. Look at the fine print. It's really important this month to go beneath the surface, like the ultrasound that we were talking about earlier, right? So really, really important. Speaking of ultrasound, this is the only High Priestess card that I think I have that has a baby on it. So for some of you, this can be a Genesis period. So what's going on now that you want to bring into, like, breathe life into? It could be literally starting a family. For the rest of you, this is much more symbolic because this is a High Priestess here, and it's more about like, this could be like symbolic of an ace, and any one of the aces if you want it to be. It could be a new job, like Ace of Pentacles. It could be a new idea, Ace of Wands. It could be something that you're going to write or share, Ace of Swords. It could be love, Ace of Cups, and it could be the baby as well. So it feels to me like this is a chance for beginnings. Don't second guess if you're able to do it, if you're deserving of this new beginning. Now is the time, and you are the one to do it. What you want to avoid in your life is people that try to manipulate. That's the only negative aspect of High Priestess reversed. So if there's anyone in your life that has a tendency to step in and try to own your ideas, definitely this is a time to make sure that you work with that lawyer, because we've got the Justice card here, to get everything written in a contract, protect your intellectual property, for sure. Don't second guess that. And if you don't think you should share it with someone, don't. Keep that close to your heart and only share it when it's time to share it. But other than that, I feel like you're okay. Trust your instinct and your intuition, and really do something with the downloads that you're receiving, okay? If someone does try to manipulate you, stand up, say this isn't going to work anymore and move in another direction. It's time to destroy that cycle of codependency, right? Okay. I really like, by the way, this is very relevant for the here and now. All of these cards, if you're tuning in live, they make sense. Then we're going to start to kind of look at what's coming ahead. So this one is very relevant because it's recent past, which technically speaking is the here and the now, because you're watching in advance. So we've got the Queen of Pentacles card coming through. And Queen of Pentacles it's a great card actually for moms too. To me, this is one of the best mom cards or mother cards because it just is about nurturing. It's about being able to take something and make it even more and taking care of something too. So first and foremost, are you taking good care of yourself? And when it comes to others, are you the one that tends to support rather than be supported? Because I love this mom card, but I also want you to feel that same support in your life. Anything that you decide to invest in, this is one of the best cards you could pull because she's going to make some magic happen. She's going to make something grow in your life, especially finances. And guess what? We've got the Ace of Pentacles in the crowning position. You've got some great cards this month, some fantastic cards, I have to say. Yes, you have Shiva the Destroyer, but it's saying you have to make a necessary change, and that change is for growth. So this is talking about the Hanged Man energy, which the bat was kind of relaying to us. So what is your trade-off? If you want this, you might have to do something different. So it's a decision. Also in yesterday's deck, I'm going to just pull a few for illustrations. It's fun to see how different decks show these, but the Ace of Pentacles yesterday was walking through a doorway. And I think that, yeah, here it is. So one of the things we want to remember is that in order for things to happen, we have to do something with them. So you can have an opportunity land in your lap, but if you don't do something with it, it can and it will stagnate, right? So this Ace of Pentacles is saying, here's your opportunity. Are you going to take that door? Are you going to open it and do something about it? So that's kind of the thing that I'm seeing here. There's a lot of overlap between you and Taurus. So some of you may have aspects in Taurus, but it's okay. Yours is a lot more. There's a lot of pentacles with you too, but it's different and they're more elevated because we have all court cards or aces. So I feel like you're in a really good spot. The Ace of Pentacles is an opportunity. It's either one that you're building, one that you're receiving, one that you're about to sort of stumble upon. But this little squirrel is interesting here because squirrels sometimes forget about things. They can bury their nuts, and part of the reason that trees can grow, sometimes they don't get to that fast enough or they forget that it's there. So this is something like an opportunity that's right under your nose that for some reason it isn't getting the attention that it needs. I had something like that happen about a month ago and it's done. Like sometimes there's a time, an expiration date on it, and it came and it went, but I learned, I'm like, I have to be more diligent about looking at this particular area so that I don't miss something. So learn from my mistake and learn from the message with this little squirrel here, which is to take care of something. The squirrel is kind of trying to get your attention there as well. So love that. All right. And just, I like that this is kind of, a lot of times you can think of this as an egg, or in this case, a seed or a nut, because it is about potential that requires what? Your love, your energy. I'm not going to keep showing that deck that I was using yesterday, which was prisms, something like that. It was, yeah, Prisma Visions. But in the Eight of Pentacles on that, you could see someone watering the sunflowers. So you could just understand that with this, you have to invest in it. So just because you're given something, if you don't do something with it, it's like, you know, a talent that you have, for instance, then it's not going to grow if you don't work on it. Okay. That's why sometimes people that are super talented are not as successful as someone who's less talented, but more dedicated or more charismatic. They're just putting more into it. And so you don't have to be the best. You just have to work hard and being consistent, and amazing things can happen, right? All right. Let's take a look at justice. So justice and judgment, I always like to talk about, for me, how I interpret the two. Justice means you haven't quite made the decision, but you're making it and it's in the near future. So it feels like you're trying to find that perfect balance. I mentioned another sort of balance card, which would be the Six of Pentacles. To me, there's like three. Two of Pentacles, which is a very difficult balance to make. It requires a sacrifice. Six of Pentacles, which just requires some diligence and some self-control. Justice, it could be more of a harder decision here where you may have to walk away from something. She's not reversed, so that's not necessarily it, but there's something about this decision where it feels like you need more information and you need more time. Don't take too long. We have the Four of Swords in reverse in the outcome. People are a little bit anxious. They're ready for this to happen. I feel like there could also be that window. I was showing you the door that you needed to walk through. It feels like there could be a door or a window of opportunity where the clock is ticking, and you have to do the best that you can do with that opportunity. So it looks good to me so far. We've got the Six of Wands, the Page of Wands, the Queen of Pentacles, the Ace of Pentacles, and the Justice card. It feels to me like it's a good trade-off. So you just have to look at yourself and see what it is. There's definitely a question for some of you out there about, it feels like there might be parents that are watching today, because I'm getting a ton of baby messages here. So we have the sun here, which is, it always has a baby in it, but this is more specifically a child. We actually see a couple babies here. And then we see the baby here. And then this is, it's not like the Empress card, but you can sometimes infer the fact that we've got the Ace of Pentacles, a baby. So let's talk about fertility. I think for you, this fertility could just mean that this is a productive month. So if you're single, happy, not looking to have a family, what I'm seeing with all these maternal energy cards, divine feminine cards, is that you have a chance now to make something happen in a really big way. Going back to school, getting ahead at work, focusing on personal development, being successful, because at the center, that was successful. If you've had trouble conceiving a child before and you want to try it this month, we got a lot of good indicators here that it's going to be easier, or that you might have more progress, or there might be another window that opens up for that, or trying to adopt as well, because we have a couple of different mom cards, 2 or 3 actually. So this would actually make a lot of sense for an adoption or surrogacy. So there you go. If you are in a relationship, how does this factor out? When you have, and you're not looking to have a family or anything, I actually like it when we have evenly sort of suited energy. So in the environment, we have the King of Swords here in the environment, but all of these other cards are showing that women are playing in a very important role in your life right now. So I would say the relationship that you need to heal or work on the most is the one where people identify as female, and that there's maybe a lot of time and energy that you're connecting with them. Try to balance that out and find a healthy sort of happy medium. Once those relationships with women, past or present, are balanced, then things start to move in a more positive direction for you. It doesn't matter if you're looking for love or not. It feels like somehow the relationship with mom in particular, or sister or aunt, if they were the ones that were kind of taking care of you, that needs to be healed, or they need your attention, because they're knocking on the tarot door here pretty loud and clear. We'll look more at relationships in a moment, but I just had to kind of highlight that. The Sun card, this is about you. If we take family out, mothers out, children out, for men, there's a note here sometimes that you want to control ego. You don't want this to be too egocentric. For men and women, there can be a message here that someone in your midst could have problems with empathizing, taking accountability, and basically they're just more focused on themselves. So the positive aspect means invest in yourself, because we have the Ace of Pentacles. Do something that feels right so that you can have personal growth. The negative aspect of this reversed is saying there may be someone in your life, it could also be you, where you're just feeling like you can't give as much to others, or they can't give as much to you. So remember, sonar, ultrasound, going beneath the surface, find out what's going on with the person and see if there isn't something deeper. Maybe they're having some difficulties with, sadness or depression. They might have a loss in their life. There might be something else that's going on. So let's give them the benefit of the doubt, because ultimately the Sun card is pretty good and it's hard to find something negative with it. There just may be someone that, especially since we have the King of Swords on top of this, that acts like they act like a kid sometimes. They're like when it's a guy, it's like a man-child. That's the best word that I can come up with it. A grown-up guy that's acting like a little kid. So try to figure out what's going on. Try not to coddle that. See if you can help them and empower them. That's what I would say with that. Your charisma is so important this month. Don't sell yourself short. This is how you come across to others. So shine brightly. Don't dim your light. We have the King of Swords here in the environment. Definitely connects with the legal message. King and Queen of Swords can be litigation. It can be contracts. And this can be 2 eyes on that same contract. So please definitely take a look at that. This is about speaking up. This is you, by the way, Gemini. So, and this is the highest sort of form that you could come in. So I'm really happy with that. This is how you're showing up to others, but there could also be a really strong person in your midst because this is the environment. So stand your ground, speak, like I said, from facts, and try not to get overly emotional because we don't have any cups, do you? No, you don't have any cups. I'm interested in that. We'll look at that when we go into the soul path. It seems like you're very much focused on development. There are some relationship cards here, but it's more about like power dynamics and roles in the relationships than it is about finding love. Or for some of you, it might be wrapping up some sort of an engagement with someone as well, right? Anyway, I really like King of Swords upright, not just because it's a good symbol for your sign, but it's also good for being in control, being strong, being powerful. So this is your time to show up like that because it feels like there's someone else that would be doing the same. So this isn't the time to sort of like be a wallflower, something I've been saying for a few signs recently. As we look at hope, fears, and opportunity, we have the Knight of Pentacles. And it's basically showing here that whatever you've decided to move with, it's going to start to grow. I like it a lot, actually. Knights take action. They're not afraid to fight for what's important. And he's on top of the squirrel. I just saw that now. The squirrel is everywhere today, isn't it? It's your second totem. So get in control here. And again, pay attention to something that I feel that you might have hidden or put away. We see the sort of, there are 3 cards with the squirrel. I hadn't really noticed it before. The squirrel is really big in this one here, though. So the important thing here is to do something with, it feels like something that you've already stored up, that you already have. This is the capitalizing or the liquidating or cashing out on something that you have, or receiving abundance because of the work that you've done. It's positive, but the Knight requires some sort of action, a signature, a phone call, etc. Okay. Alrighty. And yes, it could just mean that some of you are eating a lot of like cashews or peanuts or something. But either way, we're getting a lot of squirrels today, which makes me laugh. All right, let's move along to your final card here. We have the 4 of Swords in reverse. We actually have a lot of wolves in this deck too. With this particular card, because we're seeing the wolves and this person sort of laying down, I think for some of you, is it worth fighting the fight? Even though normally I would think this more with 5 of Swords. It feels like you could actually avoid an argument or a dispute before it happens, because ostensibly this could be like the 5th person that could be the 5th sword. I don't see a sword on him, but let's just assume that he has one. So sometimes it's better to just walk away, to not go down that path, because people might be trying to put you in a corner, might be trying to get you to say something that you'll regret, etc. So know when it's important and it makes sense to speak up. Know when it makes sense to walk away and say, been there, done that. This is not a game that I want to play again. Are you sleeping well? That's why this card was reversed. It doesn't necessarily show nightmares. This can show a lack of rest or not, a lack of feeling rested. So either you're burning the candle at both ends, or the sleep isn't restful, so you wake up and you feel a little tired, or your vitality or energy is lower than usual. So if that's the case, then take care of that. Otherwise, this could be a chance for you to take a break, a vacation, because it's overdue. You're busy when this card is reversed, right? So give yourself time to, this is the meditation piece that I talked about earlier. Give yourself time to meditate and to integrate all of this stuff. By and large, a pretty positive spread there. You know, we didn't get anything major like the Tower, the Ten of Swords, the Devil, or anything like that. It feels like a lot of these decisions and whatever this sort of death and rebirth thing is that we see here with the Destroyer is something that you get to decide. So I like that. Okay. Let's expand the forecast here. I need to quickly take a drink, but we're going to look at health, wealth, love, and destiny next. By the way, all the wolves that we're seeing are really just telling you to focus on your intuition, your instinct. We see a domestic sort of energy here with this Queen of Pentacles. So in relationships, loyalty is really important. And it's interesting because this would be the equivalent of the Moon card with this, because we have a dog and then we have a wolf. So recent past and environment. If you are looking at love, I'm kind of skipping ahead of myself, but it's okay. It's coming through right now because of the wolf question there. If you're looking at a relationship, I would say the person that's coming into your one party or the other seems to be a little bit more unstructured, and the other one seems to be very structured. So that's the challenge, is how to kind of fight this sort of in the box thinking with following your instinct, being more impulsive. And I'm seeing perhaps an incompatibility in relationships or an area of divergence. So that will be one of the challenges this month, is how do you get someone to be a little less grounded, because you have a lot of earth here. So how can we get them more in the air a little bit and to see it from a different point of view? Okay. We'll look at more at love in just a second, but that popped up, so I wanted to acknowledge it. We'll start with health. Almost invariably, the health card has to do with energy, and then I look at the cards for additional health messages. So health is mind, body, and spirit. We have retreat into nature, and in the northern hemisphere, things are warming up. In the southern hemisphere, it's fall. So there's a time where we can all kind of get out in nature a little bit more now. It's good. It's healing. We have the heart here at the bottom of the green man, which is showing that that's what's really going to benefit, is the heart chakra. The green man is, to me, well, in many decks, you'll see this either as the fool. Sometimes it can also be the emperor. But I see it as power and growth if we kind of melt the two together. So this is a time for you to focus on personal growth. And this is representing your healthiest state. So do something that helps you feel healthier. Get outside for sure. We've spent a lot of time inside, and work with social distancing and masks as necessary. But there are many parts in nature where you could just be outside and it could be nice and you can breathe, and that's going to help you quite a bit. Start something new. Growth will happen. Start a new physical fitness routine, start a new diet routine, lots of vegetables, lots of healthy stuff, as we're seeing with this, and begin anew. Renewal is what we see with Green Man. Okay, so I like that. Let's look at some specific health messages that might be coming through. How is your solar plexus doing? The sun literally is connected to the solar plexus. With it in reverse, this could be indigestion, this could be ulcers, this could also just be butterflies, nerves. Sometimes it could even come through as IBS or whatever. There could be a lot of things that could be happening in the solar plexus. So focus on the relationship stuff that I was talking about, not just with women, but with people across the board, and really kind of get into your power center and feel like, I can do this. I think that's going to be so important. It's energetic, but it could actually be manifesting itself in digestion for you this month. So that's one thing that I'm picking up on, is solar plexus. The other thing here is just a note of general balance. And it feels like some of you are working really hard to make people happy. We have the Six of Wands, and then we have the balance card here. So not at the sacrifice of health or well-being is where we can kind of put these two together. It feels like you're going to be successful in whatever endeavor you're trying to do. Just remember yourself. It's important. And then sleep, quality of sleep, taking a break, not working so much that, like, I'm sure you've experienced this before. I no longer drink caffeine. I stopped it this year, but an example is if you drink caffeine, there's diminishing returns. There comes a point where you're actually just very hyper aware. You're hyper, but you're not focusing any better. Or you're tired. You could drink the caffeine and then sit down and fall asleep anyway. So all you're doing is wearing your body out. It's not healthy. The same goes for no caffeine, but just overworking. After a certain amount of hours, 6, 8, 10, especially after like 10-hour days, nobody should be working at that point. You can't focus anymore. Even yesterday, I had to go back and correct a couple of things because there was like one word that I had off on something. I thought, well, the next day with a clean mind, a rested mind, I should say, I was able to see it clean and clear. So it's better to go to sleep and just finish tomorrow. It's one of the messages that I'm getting here. I'm not saying procrastinate. I'm saying don't overwork yourself, for those of you that tend to be workaholics, okay? So those are the main messages coming through for health. Balance is the key thing. All right, let's look at wealth. You should be growing. If you're not, you should be going. So that's what we see here with perhaps what's going to happen with your current role or position. If you're retired, it could also be about, what are you doing now to feel a sense of purpose? We never stop growing. We never stop expanding. So whether you're 8 or 88, you should be feeling that sense of growth and expansion going on. And if you feel that there is a glass ceiling, something we definitely talked about yesterday with Taurus, then it's time to break that ceiling and move forward. And we also see the guides coming through on this card. So I feel like definitely your intuitive abilities are heightened this month. So listen to what you feel, what you think, and understand that sometimes intuition is really, really subtle. And it could just be like sometimes when I receive a totem, for whatever reason, like I was going to bed and the word bat was in my head and I was thinking of bats and I was like, okay, I know it's going to be tomorrow's. And I asked them like something else, nothing else would come. It doesn't always have to be clairaudient. It could just be an image or a word or a feeling, and that's it. So when it comes to your work, what is the message you're receiving that you need to do to expand? Follow through on that. This is time for you to really feel the sense that you can grow. Speaking up and asking for what you want, that's definitely part of it. Possibly deciding to go out on your own and do it yourself. Entrepreneurial energy with the Queen of Pentacles and the Ace of Pentacles, absolutely. Some of you may be really starting to focus on using your listening skills for a business. So some of you may go into psychology, or you might be a mentor, or you might be coaching on some levels or teaching. So your listening skills and your communication skills are going to be really important to making that happen as well. Ultimately, I think that you have a chance to do something better, and you shouldn't be at a position where you have to, I guess, sort of like leave without a second option. So whether it's moving out, just make sure that you have an apartment lined up if you're going to move out, a roommate situation or a love situation. If you're going to leave a job, make sure you have another job, because it feels like there's no reason you shouldn't be able to set that up. Don't sort of just walk away, leave, and then have something nice there, have a nice security net to make it happen. But it feels like either balance or release. That's the main message with work. And then also remembering, for those of you that are retired or unemployed, it's how you're spending your time. There could be a better way to organize that time. Okay. I like it. And I also really, really like that we have Queen of Pentacles, Ace of Pentacles, and Knight of Pentacles. You have like high level resource cards coming through. So I'm not worried about you. I feel like if you were in a place where it wasn't working, it's going to get better. If you're in a place where it's working, even more. And if you're in a place where you're feeling like it's not balanced, then all you need to do is speak up or find something else and decide to kind of repackage and go somewhere else. Okay. So expansion or exploration, I feel like, is the other piece with that. All right. For relationships, rebuilding is possible. So for some of you, there may have been a misunderstanding. There could have been an argument. There could be a decision that we're gonna try this one more time. We're gonna try to fix something that has some cracks in it. We sort of see it here as well. So I think what's important is that it feels good on a heart level, that both of you are connected, and that there is a firm foundation, that the person is showing up and being accountable. You have to feel good with that decision if that's the case. So that's like in a current relationship that could be in crisis, right? If you are single and happy, what I think that you might be focusing on right now is rebuilding your it's like your Rolodex, or your network, your personal network. It could be friends. It could also be coworkers. But we've spent so much time over the past 12 to 15 months separate from people and trying to kind of make it work on Zoom calls. Either step that up a little bit, or if you're vaccinated, if you have the ability to connect more with someone, this could be a face-to-face sort of thing. But rebuilding key relationships in your life and basically knowing that this is going to be the foundation for happiness and health as well. We can all do it on our own, but I feel like this can be friends, teachers, mentors, lovers, all of the above. Feels like there's a little bit of reworking, a little bit of rebuilding. Balancing reciprocity is so important. So if it's not there, it would be better to be on your own rather than sort of constantly giving. Find the balance that works for you. If you're single and looking, here's the message that I see for you. First of all, it feels like it's important for you not to worry so much about what people think here. And if you are going out on any dates or anything, really listen. Like I said before, get to know the person so you know what's beneath the surface, because it's more than meets the eye, because we have the bat. Even if we're not seeing it here in the cards, it feels like you need to learn the backstory of this person a bit more. And maturity definitely pops up when I'm looking at who's around you and how you're kind of attracting them and what they might be fulfilling. So this can be someone who maybe doesn't trust in themselves or focuses too much on themselves. So we're going to have someone in here that challenges or mirrors that. So the more you feel strong about yourself and self-worth, the more you use your charisma in a positive way, you just really feel strong and powerful and worthy, the more you're going to pull that into your environment. We do have a King of Swords, so this is good, but someone that you have may do a lot of talking and you may need to sort of figure out, am I the listener, or if I like talking, is this person going to work with me? We have an investment card here again with the Knight of Pentacles. So it feels like one of the necessary pieces for you this month is in relationships. It should be something where you're able to put something back into your life. So going to school, maybe starting a family, maybe starting a business. That's going to take away from the relationship a little bit. So the other person has to be on board with that, right? And if you're retired, this is again with the rebuilding. Sometimes if you're recently widowed, divorced, or just it's been a while, this is figuring out, who am I after all of those years with somebody? What do I want to do? It's focused on self. So love always begins within, and then you can start to call in different mirrors and experiences based on the work that you've done. So I would say focus on happiness and fulfillment. Do something nice for yourself. All right, you've earned it. Especially for those of you that have raised children or have worked really hard and supported someone else, this is your chance to do that and feel that for yourself. Okay. We have an end to chaos. We have Set. I think he's Seth and some other pronunciations here, but the subtitle here, or the caption on this one rather, is chaos. And so if we reverse the card, which it is, it's basically bringing order to things. And so when it's kind of like if you're taking your house and knocking down a wall or something, you have to clean up after you do that. So as you start to unravel or destroy or rework things, make sure that you're creating a better structure in its place. So your catalyst is connecting to your destiny card saying, clean up the mess and make it stronger this time, okay? Let's go ahead and do a quick review, and then we'll go a little deeper. I definitely want to dig into the fact that we don't have any cups here, which is why I'm not overly focusing on relationships, but we'll see if there's anything to be said for that, and then we'll look at some of the other messages here. All right, let's quickly review, and then we're going to go into the soul path, and then we'll do the final card. All right, so your spirit totem this month is the the furry and often misunderstood bat. Bats are amazing because they use high frequencies to navigate. Echolocation and ultrasound. Ultrasound, of course, can have a lot of different connotations for those of you watching. Again, it could just be deciding to go deeper. It could be also that you need to get things checked out in your health. Maybe some of you are thinking of starting a family, but all of those aspects also come through. Listening is so important, and I like that we got a page here at the center that is listening. If you're not listening, you're just talking to yourself, basically, right? There's not actually a conversation or exchange that's happening. When you listen, things are revealed. You start to discover things. So there's power in that. Look beneath the surface. There could also be a hidden piece to a contract, which is why we have two cards that could represent litigation or a lawyer. So don't be afraid to edit. Don't be afraid to speak up. Don't be afraid to push back if there's something that you need to kind of explore. That's important. Your intuitive skills like clairaudience and claircognizance, basically hearing and knowing, are going to start to develop this month if you give them time and energy. But just like we saw with the Four of Swords, you have to sort of set some time to yourself away from all these people that kind of want to tag you and get in your space. Listen to your inner voice, tune out the external noise. Don't second guess yourself. That's why she's reversed. You've got some good insights coming through. Set proper protection and also parameters when you tune in. The same thing goes true when you sleep. Figure out what your intention is for the dreams. You can just say that I want to sleep through the night without interruption. You can also ask for something like that. We talked about when it hangs upside down, also known as roosting. It resembles the symbolism of the hanged man. In mythology, Odin decides to hang upside down. I think it's like 9 days or something like that. But it's so that he can gain knowledge. There was an exchange, a purposeful exchange. He gave up time so he could learn something. So the hanged man isn't always bad, but it is about exchanges. And that's what I wanted to look at today. How are you spending things? A segue to that is, where do you feel stuck? And why aren't you moving? Because the bat has wings. And that was something that I wanted to kind of like nudge you a bit. And we have like a knight card here too, which is saying it's time to move forward. contemplation, investment of time, acquisition of knowledge. And again, what are you getting back from something? What's the return on investment? And if you're not feeling that return, then it's time to move on, which is what we were seeing here in the expanded forecast. This will help you take flight, especially if you're feeling chained or tethered down by something, right? And yes, he got runes for the time that he spent on the tree. Many bats are essential to pollination and seed dispersal. So literally, the bat indicates fertility and abundance because it takes those seeds and it spreads the flowers across the world. So it also helps with the pollination of like fruit trees and things like that. So you have the ability this month to move quickly and to make change happen, and also to spread your message further than you think you could normally. It's a misunderstood animal, and there's a reminder here to keep an open mind. You could have an ally, you could have a friend that you don't realize is someone that is there to help you, and because of gossip or reputation, they may get a bad rap. So really get to know someone, get to know a situation before you commit or before you judge. We saw sleep stuff that came through with the Four of Swords here. So I just want to see what your stress management looks like right now, trying to balance out, adjust your schedule to fit your body, basically. There's a harvesting sort of energy here that I saw with the cornucopia, and I associated the Judgment card. So we have Justice. That's a step to Judgment. Judgment is when that's kind of released. So it feels like you're en route to making a big decision, but you haven't quite figured out what you want to do. Remember that there's a window of opportunity that we saw with the Ace here. Be clear on where you stand and what you want, especially in negotiations. If you're trying to sell something, I heard like auctioneering in my head. So you don't want, pick a good number, start with a good number. Don't go too low, don't go too high. Stick to the facts too. Base it on exactly why something should be at that number. We had an earthquake here last night. And I think that this is a chance for you to move things around. We definitely got that with the Destroyer, Shiva energy, but I also feel like there's a world energy attached to it. It's not just like the Tower. So this is change for the better. And as we saw with the Six of Swords in the other deck, sometimes you have to move away or move on in order to have that success happen. I just feel like you should listen to yourself. We also have the Falcon here. We see the owl here at the center. It feels like you're receiving guidance. We have the High Priestess in the deep past. So if you're ready, the time is now. Success is right around the corner, but it kind of weighs literally on your decision. And for some of you, you're going to do this, not that. You are going to decide to focus on something and put something on hold. But it feels like it's worth it. It's just a decision that nobody else can make but you. So once you make that, things start to move in the right direction. Self-confidence, using your charisma in a good way, focusing on power dynamics are going to be really key. If there's someone in your life that's not acting their age, trying to bring that into a more balanced state is also going to be important. Speaking your mind, standing your ground, using your communication skills to the max, being concise, sticking to the facts, all of that is important. I see a return on this investment. Ace of Pentacles to Knight of Pentacles is pretty nice. And even if you had to sort of dig into something, this is still growing. We see growth. We see growth here. So it's all pretty good for you. The only thing that I'm kind of concerned about is burning the candle at both ends here. We're not feeling rested enough, or something's off a little bit with sleep. And I'm saying that as Apollo's sleeping and enjoying things in the background there. So we have the green man here in your health card, which is saying getting outside is going to be helpful to your ability to just sort of ground and clear your head sometimes. Isn't it amazing what a walk can do? So take a break, even if you're busy, 10, 15 minutes, go outside. I know this sounds weird, but if you can lean against a tree or touch a tree, or ground yourself by picking up some sort of a crystal or a stone, you can even carry something like this to work and just kind of like hold it. And I have smaller stones, like polished ones that you can put in your pocket. I don't know if I have any handy here, but you could take something that's a little bit smaller and have something like that to help you out. That isn't quite what I would use for grounding. That would be more for communication. This is a little bit closer to that. I tend to go to darker colors. I like this one because it actually has sort of like this cool peacock energy on the inside of it. So again, using this sort of beneath the surface stuff. Ground yourself. Other things with health, I feel like it's important to focus on solar plexus. I'm literally feeling the pain here as I'm talking about it. So for some of you, there could be a really difficult power struggle that's going on between mom or parent or boss. There could also be just feeling your own power and trusting yourself. So work on that a little bit. Breathe into this. There's something in Kundalini Yoga called the breath of fire that will help you kind of pump the navel, and you get the energy moving here. So it feels like you need to pay attention to it. I've been feeling it the entire time that I've been talking about this. So definitely focus on core strength. Also sit-ups, Pilates, anything that you can do to strengthen the core is going to be so important, okay? As we look at wealth, I see it here in the cards. I hope you can see it. We see expansion. If someone won't let you get to that next level, won't let you expand, then it's time to move on. For those of you that say you've lost your trust, then find it. It starts with a mantra. It starts with saying, I am worthy, I am ready, I am deserving, and really believing it. If you don't believe it, it's not going to happen. Looking at relationships this month, rebuilding yourself first and foremost, because we see a little crack in her foundation. Rebuilding the foundation of trust in the relationships, and then also maybe just deciding that you want to start fresh and get a new group of people in your life. Somehow rebuilding and reworking things. And then finally, we have the antithesis of chaos, because Set is upside down. So this would be finding a way to bring order to chaos. To after this sort of beautiful, it's one of the nicest looking Shiva or Destroyer cards that I have, or Tower type cards. But after you decide to dismantle things, you have to make sure that you put it back together in something that feels better. All right, let's dig deeper. I want to look at why there's no cups. So sometimes for me, the absence of something is a message. So let's look at a little bit at like relationships and emotional side, because cups can be both. Even if I don't get a cup for it, I'll understand why the cups didn't show up. All right, so let's take a look for everyone present. Sign of Gemini, what's going on with the lack of cups? So emotional state or relationships or both. Five of Wands. Feels like some of you are just too busy. It's not a priority. Also, we see this hornet's nest or wasp's nest at the top. So I feel like some of you are afraid of trying to make something, you don't want to make it worse. And I kind of respect that on some levels. So there just may be something where it's not worth getting involved. Yesterday, I had the antithesis of this, where I saw that someone really needed help, but sometimes people need to come to you. And when we see these sort of divine feminine cards, like the Queen of Pentacles here, or even like the High Priestess, I would say and Justice, because she's divine feminine too. You have great advice and great insights. Let people ask before you give it. And I think that would be really helpful in relationships. The other thing is a decision of what you want to do with your work-life balance. So some of you are just prioritizing maybe going to school, possibly just deciding to work on yourself a little bit more. So that's fine. So it feels like it's not a priority. That's what I'm looking at. Or you're afraid of causing trouble. What's interesting here is it feels like these people could have kind of had a setup here, because we see this person smirking. This should be a piñata, but instead it's a wasp nest or a hornet's nest. So I would say this is the bat coming through again, saying, ask some questions, get to know what's going on. If you spend so much time and energy at work and in other things, kind of making sure everything's perfect, definitely do that with your relationships across the board too. Don't be afraid to put a little bit of work into it and get to know and get to understand what's going on. If you don't bother the bees, the hornets, the wasps, they're not going to come after you. So I would say non-confrontational approach would be better than what we see here. Work on it gently. It's only if you're going to do what we see there that you're going to get stung. So instead of swinging the first swing, I would say check in with someone. So the message here is that many of you are deciding to invest in yourself, to work a little bit more, that relationships have maybe been taking a back seat. Some of you are afraid of having a difficult conversation. So instead of going out there swinging, start with connecting with the person and just spending some time and being there with them a little bit. Also, relationships or work. Do you feel like investing in that? This is literally the work card. It feels sometimes like a hamster wheel. So that's something to think about. There's no wrong reason or question when it comes to this. It just feels like the Five of Wands is saying priorities have shifted. That's the answer that I'm getting. We'll look more, it's a little bit later. If you can ask later if you want me to look at that as your private question, but what I'm getting here is that it's not the most important thing. That's why you should be focusing on personal work, working on yourself, and not causing trouble with others. And if you have to have a difficult conversation, use your heart and use your common sense. All right, let's move along here. I want to look at the destroyer energy. What is it that you can focus on with dismantling? We're going to combine destroyer and chaos because we don't want that. So setting order to chaos, being able to rebuild, because we have a rebuild card here as well. So how can you focus on growing, expanding, rebuilding? Because that's literally everything that we have here on the side. So what can you do to stay on that path? All right, we have the Three of Pentacles. Fantastic. So for this, what I'm seeing for you is, first of all, recognition is around the corner. This is a very atypical Three of Pentacles, but normally what you would see is somebody working on the final touches on architectural sort of details, people looking, impressed, paying attention, seeing that you had some sort of a connection or responsibility in the final outcome of that. So what it means to me is that it's time to be recognized or to recognize. And one of the things that you can do in your life, if you're in a position to say, good job, do it, because it's going to foster more of that. It's going to inspire more of that. Also, if you're ready for it, open up and say, I'm ready to receive. And it feels like some sort of recognition is around the corner. You may have to do it on your own, though. Here's the interesting thing. So for those of you, especially I mentioned like musicians or writers or anybody that's doing something personal, or if it's a product and you can't get sort of distribution for the product, but you believe in it. Well, I feel pretty good about what we've got here. So this is something where you could look at talking to someone and seeing what it would be like to find a different channel of distribution. Obviously, go talk to someone that's a financial expert and get all that together. But this is really investing in yourself and trusting that people are going to eventually be interested in what you have to offer. Graduation, that's also what this is. So it feels like you need to finish something that you started. Finish something that you started, get recognition if you need it. Also just sort of pass through that rite of passage. Sometimes we need to experience a milestone in our life. Buying a house, getting married, getting divorced, starting a family, something. It feels like you're going to just check off one of the milestones here in the near future. So much like I saw with Taurus, who had the Three of Wands yesterday, I believe, this can be up to 3 months, like a quarter of the year. So just give it some time. I don't feel like you have to worry about much at all, actually, because I was looking at like, what do you need to take apart? This is just focus on finishing things up. This is construction, though. So it's very interesting. If you are going to sell a house, fix it before you sell it. So if the roof is broken, put on a new roof. If the pipes are leaking, fix the pipes. Don't sell someone something that isn't good. It's bad karma, and that auctioneering thing is going to happen where something's going to happen with the numbers. So if you're going to sell something you'd want to buy, or don't sell it. And if you're working on rebuilding something in your life, take your time and enjoy the process, because you're going to walk away richer for the experience as well. Okay. Let's take a look now at a wild card, and then we're going to meditate, and then we'll do the final card. So for the wild card, I just want to see how you can, it's kind of like a continuation of Catalyst, but I want to say, like, how can you get out of your way? How can you be most successful this month? Okay. When it comes to communication, it's not worth the argument, for sure. When it comes to your health, it's important to take care of those little aches and pains before they become something big. When it comes to freaking out about something, don't make a mountain out of a molehill. This is really about not going to extremes, okay? Ten of Swords can be very sort of like, oh my God. So this is, how can you avoid it? How can you stay on the right path? So how can you avoid kind of getting off path? It's by saying things that you know that you're not going to regret later, because The King of Swords is a pretty big satellite. If he's broadcasting, his signal reaches out there quite a bit. So whatever you say is going to get back to you and probably get back to the source. So say things on an elevated level. Don't give into an argument. Don't participate in bullying or let anyone else be bullied. This is just an important time to be in your highest frequency when it comes to communication. And if something ends, it is divinely decreed. It's for a good reason. You may be able to avoid an argument down the line just by saying no or goodbye or speaking up earlier. The longer you wait, the worse it gets. So that's my advice with all of that. Let's go ahead now and meditate for a moment. And I know we're a little short on time, but we'll have time to do this. I'm going to do a quick meditation, and then we're going to take a look at a final card. Before we do that, just a couple of quick notes. If you, for any reason, enjoyed this today, I'd love for you to hit the subscribe and the like button. As I said earlier, it really helps. It helps other people find the channel. So if you do nothing else today, if you could hit the thumbs up, if you hit subscribe, unless you've already subscribed, don't unsubscribe. You can opt into notifications. And if this is on replay, comment below. One of the ways you can comment is also showing support. You can click the applaud button when it's on replay. Thank you to everyone that's been giving support all along the way. You can continue to do that while we're meditating, and then also for the final word. And before I get into the meditation, please follow me on social media if you haven't already. All the note cards that I posted here, I actually repost them on my website, on Instagram, on Facebook, on the community tab of YouTube. And I'm starting to do some small recaps on TikTok. My username is @NicholasAshbaugh on all of these social media platforms. I also post cute pictures of my dog on Instagram. So if you like Apollo, you can see more of them there. I'm @NAshbaugh on Twitter. So I'll put a quick link out to that if you want to follow me, and then we're going to meditate. And then I'll share some other links later. So here you go. And let's go ahead now and meditate. So for the meditation today, I want to focus on the solar plexus because that's where I was feeling my own sort of connection here to the sign. It felt like there was some pain there. And we have a lot of cards with maternal energy on it. So this is kind of it'll be like a little bit of rebirthing. We're going to go into the inner child, love it, and sort of allow it to see that everything's going to be okay as an adult. And I think that'll help you. Okay, so close your eyes for a second. Well, more for a minute or two, and then we'll be right back. As I'm doing this, if you come up with something in your head, again, that final question that you have, hold it, and I'll answer it afterwards, okay? So with your eyes closed, imagine that you are sitting in a circle of light. The sun is directly overhead, and you are surrounded by this brilliant, radiant circle of light. So brilliant that you feel like you just want to trace it. And as you do that, you see another ring forming. And these rings sort of encircle your body, aligned to each one of your chakra points. It's like you have halos around your body, protecting you and elevating your energy. I want you to think back in time to a moment where, especially as a child, perhaps you didn't receive the love or the support that you needed, or if there was something in your life where you just felt like you needed a hug or you needed a little bit more. It doesn't even have to be as a child. But that younger version of yourself or that neglected version of yourself, I want you to imagine that you can see that version of you in front of you. So if it's a little kid, feel free to kind of like take it in your arms and just kind of like you can rock it gently. If it's someone that, like if it's a younger version of you and you just want to hug, that's fine. Imagine in this moment you can embrace the version of yourself that didn't receive. And I really want you to feel that your heart energy and your solar plexus energy is connecting with them. If it's a younger person, tell them it's going to be okay. I'm sorry that, mom or teacher or aunt or uncle or brother or sister wasn't there for you, but you're going to be fine. If it's an older version of yourself, if it's yourself 5 minutes ago, just say, I love you. And I see you in a way that you can't see yourself because you're looking at yourself in spirit. Allow your other version of yourself, whether it's the past or the sort of the part that's in the fog, allow it to see how strong and vibrant and powerful you are in this moment. And I want you to both just sort of embrace and feel the energy of love, unconditional love, melting away fear, frustration, doubt, low self-esteem. And as a result, all you're going to see at the end is this beautiful bright light, this solar energy shining through everything. So we're going to meditate for about 1 minute or 2 minutes here as I play the singing bowl. And then we're going to look at your question that you have for me. Okay. So close your eyes. Feel like you're almost emanating this beautiful star-like energy from the center of your being. And just see this golden light wrapping around this younger version of yourself, or wrapping just around your body and shining brightly. Deep breath, exhale. Take another deep breath. Exhale, letting go of fear, doubt, and uncertainty. Breathe in again. See the light come into your lungs, come into your body, activating each and every cell. See your light shine brightly. See the higher and lower forms of your body. See the younger version of yourself, the older version of yourself, all snap together into the same grid. You've integrated the messages. You've integrated the unconditional love. See any sort of connections that you have with others in your life that are not reciprocal. See them fade. See the solar energy blast through them and just incinerate them. It's nothing now but you, your energy. You are free. You are able to fly like the bat. You can do whatever you want now. You have become whole and energized once more. Keep your eyes closed for a second. And I want you to think of something else that I didn't have a chance to look at today. You don't need to type it. Better if you don't, actually. Just think it in your head. And let me tune into that. We're going to pull a card and see what's coming through. I answer this as two things, a yes, no, and then I also answer it with deeper layers of meaning. So if you just joined, perfect timing, we're going to answer a question. So this is my way of getting you a Q&A. So collectively, think of a question that you have, send it to me. I'm going to pick a card here, and we're going to see what the answer is. Okay, don't give up. It's a yes. So the 9 of Wands is an affirmative card. It's actually a really good card because it shows me that you're closer to achieving something than you may realize. There is often a fatigue that sets in with the 9 of Wands because it happens at a point, like when this comes through, oftentimes you've been through a challenge. This can happen, like I said, after a divorce, after a health challenge in your life, after a disappointment, after someone takes something from you. Sometimes you just have to fight and stand up for yourself. So this is the survivor card. It's saying, you know what, I got this far and I can see the finish line. So you bet I'm going to stick around for that last mile, right? So don't give up. Yes, don't give up. And the important thing for you also would be to make sure that if anyone in your life is trying to step in and make you feel bad, trying to take something away, etc., this is a defense card. This is very defensive. It actually, she has more of a 7 of Swords, a 7 of Wands, pardon me, stance to her. So even though it's 9 of Wands, it looks like 7 of Wands. So it's like, no. And not only that, not only am I going to defend myself, but I know exactly how, when, why, where this is all going to fall together. It also is near completion. So let's say everything's been working well for you and you've not had any challenges in your life. The 9 of Wands is saying, good, keep it up. You're almost done. Keep the focus. Keep pushing. Take a little break if you need to, sort of a mental health day, which is why the 4 of Swords came through. And you're going to then get that final push of adrenaline. And sometimes you just find it at the last minute. You can't explain why, but I feel like you're going to be A-okay. Some of you may decide to be advocates for those who are less fortunate. the Nine of Wands, if it's reversed, it's not. But if it's reversed, it would come through and it would say, don't let anyone verbally, physically, spiritually do anything that kind of pushes you down, right? And if you've had that happen to you before, then maybe what you can do is help others who are in a position of being marginalized, right? So this is an advocate. So that's a really cool card to come up to. So maybe you can help others and share your experience and prevent others from going through what you went through. Okay, so fantastic card to end on. It is saying yes, but don't give up. Yes, almost. Yes, keep pushing. Keep pushing. You don't see it on this one, but typically there's a bandana on that person or a bandage. So one thing I want you to focus on, if because it's a health message, make sure there's no migraines or headaches that are going on. So reducing alcohol, caffeine, and making sure that you get enough sleep will be very helpful in that. And then stress reduction as well, getting outside and exercising, really, really important. They all kind of pull together. So thanks. I know we went a little over today, but I always want to get the messages out there. If you want any information about who I am or what I do, you can go to my website. It's pinned at the top, nicholasashbaugh.com. If you're interested in supporting the channel in a different way, and you like science fiction or fantasy books, I have a book that I wrote called The Luminous Ones. It's available worldwide. You can also get it domestically here on Amazon. The hardcovers are actually on sale right now. They're about the same price as the paperbacks. And the link is on my website. I'll put a link out right now for that so you have it. I'm going to give you a few links here now that you can make use of. So let's see if you want the book. Here's a link for, okay, thank you so much, Maria, for putting the book up there. I'd love for you to follow me on social media. And as I said earlier, I am pretty active on, especially on Instagram, but Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I will basically put up a lot of tweets and reminders on all of those. So I'm Nicholas Ashbaugh on everything except Twitter, which is Ashbaugh. So I put a link there to follow me if you'd like to. Thank you, everyone. I've been seeing all of the support that you've been sending. It makes a huge difference, so I appreciate it. You can also click applaud. And finally, like, share, subscribe, and spread the word, because as you guys even just comment on the video, it's so important. And I didn't realize that until I started to see some movement this month. So thank you so much. I always have a list of future, present, and past readings here on my website. If you just go to nicholasashbaugh.com/live, it'll be there. I recently put out my newsletter. If you want to subscribe to it, you can go there. You can read the current one on my website. So just go to the main site, and it's one of the pinned posts at the bottom. And one more time, here's my Instagram. I'm just going to put my official social media platforms here. Here's my Facebook, and here's my Twitter. And if you are one of the folks that enjoys TikTok, here I am. And all of these are on my website. Again, there's been some imposters out there. A couple notes, I don't misspell my name. So if there's underlines or something like that, I don't have backup accounts. What's on my website is official. I will never use direct messages, or I never add friends and ask you for things. That's an imposter. So with that being said, thank you so much. I will be back again later this week to read for Cancer. And here's the date and time for that. So I look forward to seeing those of you that would like to show up on Thursday at 9 a.m. Pacific for Cancer. I will put a recap up by tomorrow, usually later this afternoon or early evening. I'll have it up. So like I said, if you follow me on social media, you'll get that. Take care, everyone. Thanks again, Maria, for sticking around a little bit later, and everyone else. I hope you have a fantastic start of the week, and take care. Okay, bye-bye.